Yeah, I mean, if I was playing the bar lines as he's marked them, which is hard to do, it would be something like, which patently sounds absurd because the harmonies don't change that way. They change. This is just the third beat of the bar. But he has sort of fun with us because we think we've kind of got used to that idea, which is kind of a bizarre idea. But then he turns it around, so we're playing the third beat. And then it turns back for a few bars to have the correct downbeat. So he's kind of messing with us, which is unfortunately, it's an experience when one's playing Beethoven quartets that is very frequent.
Yeah, what's that like to play as a quartet? Is it something that you have to make decisions about?
It's something that we argue about because some people think that we should retain a sense of ambiguity. So instead of being too obvious, you know, some of us in the group would say, well, he could have written it with a first beat, so we should at least have some kind of and I personally don't like that. I think we should just commit to the displaced meter because I think otherwise you don't appreciate it when it turns back to the regular beat. So, but you know, in the spirit of quartet rehearsals, you know, one's always trying to be open to other ideas and try them out. Unfortunately, we play this piece quite a lot, so we might vary it from one to another, I think, a little bit.
That's really interesting, Ed, because it makes me think about how, in a way, he's sort of changed your attitude to this popular dance just simply by the way it's presented on the page, that he's forced you to think about it more than you would normally, and to reflect on this, to approach this popular object that perhaps otherwise you would say, well, I'm familiar with this kind of thing, I know the feel, I know how to play it, but he's estranged it from you ever so slightly, just with a shift of bar line, such that when you play it, you actually have to discuss what you're going to do.
Exactly. I mean, it's quite a brilliant move just to make sure that the players actually practice the thing. We'll practice it twice as much just because of that displacement.
I really strongly feel this displacement as a joke about dancing. So this is really music about dance music at this point. And, you know, with that displacing the bar line, but then getting back in time again, it's like something's gone wrong and then someone's had to rescue the situation, whether that's the dancers are adding an extra beat or whether the musicians are seeing what's happening on the dance floor and kind of adjusting accordingly. But I've been taking waltz classes, and I find that more often than not, the waltzers, will get a little behind. And so what you have to do then is just leave a little bit of time and then catch up next time. So that might mean just for a couple of bars, you don't quite do a full turn, you do half a turn, and then you're back there. And that exactly is what I feel happens when the bar line ends up being on the bar line again. Oh, thank goodness, you know, we're back in the room, and not for long. So it seems like this trio has got some central characters who are perhaps not very good dancers. That's kind of how I feel. What's happening here.
I can certainly relate to that. I think I'm very well qualified to play this trio in that case.
I wonder, Erica, if your reading of it doesn't, you know, introduce this element that, you know, people have often identified with Beethoven of a sort of self-consciousness, this kind of Besonnenheit. You know, in other words, it's not merely a dance; it's a depiction of a dance, or it's a depiction of a dancer or a particular kind of dance and a thing that happens during the dance, which would make sense after all, because after all, it isn't a dance for dancing, right? It's been transcribed into this context, which is quite, certainly by this time, you know, it is quite an elevated, quite an exclusive genre, and, you know, played by virtuosos, you know, necessarily. And so that would make sense to me, certainly.